and welcome to Classics Confidential. I'm Anastasia and I'm talking with Dr. Antony Makrinos, teaching fellow in classics at the Department of Greek and Latin at UCL. Welcome, Antony.
Thank you, Anastasia.
So, Antony, would you like to tell us what inspired you to set up the summer school and why you felt this was a good way to engage students in the study of Homer?
Yes, 2 years ago I was the director of the London Summer School in Classics, and I noticed that we had a lot of people who were interested in studying the Homeric text, either the Iliad or the Odyssey, so I identified that there was a need there for people to study Homer. So I had the idea that it would be nice to direct maybe a summer school in Homer in specific, and that was how the idea was born. And we had some discussions with the head of department last year, and we decided that we go ahead with that, and we have the first summer school in Homer. So the summer school offered the possibility to study Homer in all levels, from the original and from translation. We had 4 classes in total. We had beginners Homeric Greek, intermediate and advanced levels, and we had also Homer from translation. And at the same time we also ran a mosaics workshop inspired by Homeric characters. On Thursday we had a performance event. That was a reading of the most dramatic episodes of the Iliad by me, in combination to a physical performance by a professional choreographer and physical performer, Deborah Pugh.
Well, that's actually very interesting, because as we know in antiquity, Homer was, not read but performed. So bringing that performative aspect back into play and trying to communicate that to students is really important. So would you tell us a little bit more about how you worked with this, choreographer, Debbie, and perhaps some of the challenges, and as well as the rewards, of course, that you encountered?
Yes, the idea was born when I saw Deborah Pugh for the first time helping training our chorus for the Greek play last year, for the Clouds. And she was trying to depict a very dramatic scene from the fall of Troy. And she was trying to teach the actors and the chorus how they would be able, through physical performance, to show emotions. Then I approached her, and I had the idea that we could do something similar with Homer, just because I know that those kind of physical performances usually happen with tragedy. I thought it would be a very good idea to give it a go and to introduce this to Homer. So I approached her and she accepted, and we started rehearsing on that. I produced, or rather I made a selection of different episodes from the Iliad. I tried to select what were for me, or what are for me, the most emotional episodes. And we started rehearsing on those. I was, initially in my mind, the idea was that I would be the reader and she would be the performer, and that perhaps in the most emotional peaks of these episodes we could have an interaction which could be very productive and could hopefully create some emotions to our audience as well. And from my point of view, that was what I wanted to explore. I wanted to explore whether the emotions that exist in the text of the Iliad can be communicated through physical performance to modern audiences. So we had quite a few rehearsals, and initially we tried to explore not only the Homeric characters, but also abstract concepts of the Homeric world. We had a lot of discussions over how Deb could perform death, for example, or how she could perform formulaic phrases, or how she could perform the male and the female, interactions between male characters and female characters, or heroes and gods, the intervention of gods, all those things that are very interesting in the text. We have spent a day in the British Museum where we tried to get a few ideas from the exhibits there of the Mycenaean world. Overall, I think we both understood that it was in general, a very challenging experience, but also very interesting in that it created emotions for us as well as our audience.
Did you feel you as a classicist learnt something through this, working so closely together with a practitioner?
Yes, definitely. For me, it has been one of the most interesting things, I think, in my professional life, because usually as academics we tend to think of the Homeric world as text, rather than trying to think the different modes of representation through which we could communicate very interesting aspects of the Homeric world to modern audiences. There's going to be a different performance this year. We are planning to invite a Greek actress who is going to read the Homeric poems of Cavafy, or the poems of Cavafy that are based on the Homeric world, and read them in modern Greek. And at the same time we are going to have again a physical performance by Deborah Pugh, and we haven't thought about what we are going to do with the English yet, but we might have subtitles, or I might get involved in offering an English translation, or we'll see how we'll tackle this subject. But it's going to be an interesting challenge for the second Homeric school. I think for the students of the summer school it was a unique experience, because they most of them have in the feedback they have underlined the fact that the text has become alive in a way through performance, and I think that's the most important thing. Together with the communication of emotions, those texts were not produced to be taught in a schoolroom or in an amphitheater. They were produced to cover some specific human needs, and to even to be performed. They were produced for the audience to feel, and I think it is important that any reader of Homer remembers that those texts can be relevant, or are relevant to us. They are relevant to modern audiences because they depict human condition, and because we are humans and we identify with the emotions and with the conditions that they represent.